I'm thinking about my Monday night guys that I gather with, man, and been with them for a little while now, and I think King Me came out in 2023.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, we're in chapter 9. So
It's a great example of
the purpose of our gathering, the purpose of our group that meets every other week is not to get through a book.
Yeah, right.
The purpose of our group is to know each other and be known by each other, know each other's stories, do life together. Just went on a fishing trip a couple of weeks ago, as a group, and just, 4th of July parties. We do things together, right?
Yeah.
So the purpose is centered around not an agenda. I mean, man, half the time we start our groups with like, hey, man, how's your
how
heart
you doing? Yeah.
And that can take 3 hours to get through 2.5 hours, right? We never even talk about the book because a guy's going through something.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoe's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful inns for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more.
Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson hanging out with S.J. Jennings and Josh Overton, and we are exploring the kingdom in a particular rough terrain known as men's ministry. And dun, dun, dun. And
Dun, dun, dun.
so we're a couple episodes in. So if you've missed 1 and 2, suggest you go back there and jump into 1 and 2. I think the quick review would be, why do you want to do this? And like writing that out. What is it that you're wanting to do? What is it that you're wanting to offer? So why and what are really, really big questions. Anything about that?
Yeah, it's just, before you embark on any endeavor, you ought to examine your motivations pretty closely.
Yeah.
This is a particular one that, are you doing it so you can be out in front of everybody? Or are you doing it, you know what I mean? Or are you doing it because you're hungry for relationship?
It's a little different.
Talk to people about it, give us a call, send us an email. Happy to talk to you about it.
Send
him an email.
Yeah, we'll make sure they talk to Josh.
allies@zoe.org. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's at least once a week where one of us is showing someone on Instagram, like, look at this. This is so cool. I want this. I already bought it sometimes. And I think if anything, marketing has taught us that the packaging matters, maybe even more than the content. And so as we talk about culture, just how it's packaged, what you're going after, reverse engineering it. So it's just critical to the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and anything that you're stepping into, you want to know who's been there before, what did they do, what did they not do. Men's initiatives, men's ministry, there's a lot of people attempting to do it, and it's not a high success rate. This is like entrepreneurial, setting a restaurant up. To get through,
a high percentage
no, and to get a few months under your belt is one thing, but to get a few years is something else. And so I think talking about, why you're doing it, what are you inheriting, or are you pioneering? Are you building on something? Are you starting something from scratch? And particularly in the context of a church, where a lot of men's ministry exists, I think, this is no more tricky and no less tricky than off campus. And you have a bit, if I'm honest, you have a bit of a stocked pond, in which to fish from. But even that, with numbers, we haven't found a real good correlation. 150 men involved in a men's initiative sounds great, But when there's 2,000 people at the church, it's not a real high yield.
Yeah.
And yet, man, if you have that many guys, we're going to have to talk about how to do this in a few different ways that translates into multiple situations and scenarios. That's what we're talking about on this particular episode, is the how, which, buckle up.
Yeah.
This is encouragement. This is a bit of a menu. This is about you. If you were going, it reminds me of Neo and Trinity when they go into the program with all the weapons.
Right.
What are you going to need for this? Guns. Lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
Not that you're shooting other men with those, but that there's an enemy that is has done a great job over a long haul at making this a specific kind of challenge and maybe even extremely difficult to do. And so we've been trying to prepare your heart for. There's not a lot of this because this is hard to do. Not for the faint of heart, and yet we have been a part of, and actually have seen some circles where the risk and reward are pretty glorious.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll
dive into it. Yeah.
Dive in.
So we'll be right back on the Exploring More podcast.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today on the Explore More podcast. I want to take just a second. I'm curious, as you've been listening to these episodes around men's ministry and starting groups, did you feel the tug? Possibly that's why you click play to begin with. Well, my name is Josh Overton. I'm the Zoe Allies Director, which is our national network of boots on the ground men just like you who are fighting for the hearts of others and committed to friendship and mission. And on December the 10th, we're going to be hosting a Zoe Allies Roundtable and inviting men just like you that are interested in becoming an ally, interested in starting a group, to connect with existing allies, as well as our team, myself, Michael, and SJ. And that's going to be on December the 10th at 8:00 p.m. You can sign up. It'll be an online event that we do through zoe.org/allies. Now that starts at 8, but I want to invite you to join us at 7:30 for the pre-show, which will give us a little more time to just connect, lean into some story, hear more about you. And we'll be doing some giveaways as well. So that 8:00, we can just jump right into the meeting where you can expect hearing about all the things that Zoe offers to help, the encouragement, the tools, the equipment, the resources, the network, the friendship, as well as hearing some next steps on what you can do. We want to help. We're here for you. So email me if you have any questions at allies@zoe.org. And if not, we'll see you on December the 10th.
Welcome back. I told you we'd be right back. And
Here we are.
here we are. And I think hopefully you'll, that invitation of joining us in December, Josh, SJ, myself, as Josh leads the campaign to bring more and more men together who are considering this. We're doing it in December largely because the calendar helps us through this podcast, and then a gathering in December with our own allies and hopefully some new ones, and to connect with you, because January is coming.
Mm-hmm.
and that is just a huge start of a year and things that go along with starting some things. So
Yeah.
so
Flows well with church calendars, and everyone's looking to start something new in January.
Correct.
So
Yeah. So
Well,
where do you guys want to go with how? Because
I think
there's
let's-
50 ways to do this.
Yeah, let's just do, when it comes to how, I think bullet points, 1, 2, 3s can be helpful. You said something about lists.
Mhm.
So what if we do purpose, why do we meet, rhythm, when and how, and path, where are we going?
That's good.
Do you want to get into that?
Yeah.
And some questions about it? Okay, so why are we meeting? I mean, we talked about the why, we talked about the what,
Yeah.
but
I feel like we've
purpose.
covered. I feel like we've covered that one pretty well in the first 2 episodes,
Mhm.
honestly. But yeah, I think you just, again, back to your heading, your true north. Maybe we could get into that a little bit about another reason why it's critical is because that thing can get hijacked and probably will try to get hijacked. So knowing what you're after,
Yep.
and staying the course would be pretty important. So that
Mhm.
might be good, even just a story. If you guys think of a story of, when I think of that, it can be the vision being hijacked,
Yeah.
certainly, but even just the response and sharing of the talker versus the retreater, and so
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
that might be good for seconds.
I just, I'm thinking about my Monday night guys that I gather with, man, and been with them for a little while now, and I think King Me came out in 2023.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, we're in chapter 9. So
It's a great example of
the purpose of our gathering, the purpose of our group that meets every other week is not to get through a book.
Yeah, right.
The purpose of our group is to know each other and be known by each other, know each other's stories, do life together. Just went on a fishing trip a couple of weeks ago, as a group, and just, 4th of July parties. We do things together, right?
Yep.
So the purpose is centered around not an agenda. I mean, man, half the time we start our groups with like, hey, man, how's your
how
heart
you
doing?
doing? Yeah.
And that can take 3 hours to get through 2.5 hours, right? We never even talk about the book because a guy's going through something or having a challenge with his kid. So determining, and I'm not saying that's the only right way to do it, right? So again, going back to the first bullet point, purpose, why do we meet?
That's right.
If your purpose is to we need to get through this book because the church is going to move on to the next one or this or that. That's okay.
Yeah.
But setting that expectation and setting that course
Right.
from the outset is important. And sometimes you end up blown off course.
So follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important for you guys to pursue that? So I guess what I'm after is for the guy who has a desire in his heart to go after that, but maybe that's not been his training.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not his context.
After knowing and being known, you
Right.
mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he wants that, and he wants, and not that taking 2 years to get through 9 chapters is the only way to get there.
No.
But I know a lot of guys leaders who would hear that and say, well, we're not doing that. Like, that's not what we do. So just, can you give some importance to?
Yeah. Let me say too at the outset, I think this group started with the intention of getting through the book. And, there was an agreement at the beginning. Yeah, we might get off track a little bit, but we're going to move through this, thing. Because they had gone through Heart of a Warrior the same way. So I think what's been interesting to watch is, they kind of went through Heart of a Warrior and not quickly, but with intention. And then as they've gotten to know each other better, it's taking longer to get through each book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But you don't have to do it that way. No, if you don't feel like, you can spend 2 years going through a book, then don't. Right. But my purpose in that group has always been to know these guys and have them know me. And the book is a vehicle that can do that. We've just reached a place now. The book would kind of provoke some things to talk about and to let each other know our hearts and what we might be struggling with. It's not that we don't need the book. Everyone needs King Me, but I think just as you get to know someone better and walk with them better, you just ask them.
Yeah.
And they feel freedom to know. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, man.
To share.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think we've covered that ad nauseum
Yeah.
now at this point, but I think that's just a great example, man, because you knew what you were after, you set the culture for that. And then, like you said, over time, there it is.
Yeah.
It was, there it is. And
Yeah.
now,
And other guys too, man. And we'll get into this in a
Yes,
minute, but
yes.
there's other guys that lead that group and we all kind of do it together. But that's where we're headed. So then, okay, what about the importance of rhythm?
sure.
Talk about that, MT?
Yeah. If the hope and goal of the culture is friendship, connecting, honoring story, then your rhythm needs to be frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So once a week.
if you can.
If you do
Yeah,
once a month
that's
and a
best.
guy misses, he's back. He's swam for sure. I
Right.
mean, 2 months because that Thursday night didn't work out for him and his kids and da da da.
Yeah,
So
right.
so I think we're getting, from the rhythm is one of the way more practical pieces, and I think weekly is a must. I think 90 minutes is a minimum. 2 hours is a max.
Mm-hmm.
With post game and
Yeah, if guys want to linger, you want to create that environment.
Yeah. And so that's just some of the rhythm, I believe, in terms of time. And I think there's got to be a midweek communication of some kind in the rhythm of that. And from the facilitator, the coordinator, the guide, man, you set the pace, you set the culture. And that's what, to get to where your Monday night group is, now 3 or 4 years, four years
somewhere around
in,
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a more closed group, even though I think
Mm-hmm.
you've seen some visitors come. If you're with Jay or you're with Don, you're
Mhm.
good,
Mhm.
but that one, doesn't have as much the rhythm of semesters or trimesters or
Right.
8 weeks of this or 12 weeks, because
Yeah.
that's already been established. You've
Right.
already done that.
We're on back porches and
Yes,
things like that.
and that's a very that's the culture that
Mhm.
that has, and I think what you're saying and what I heard you say and what I want to reiterate is the culture that you necessarily start will evolve to be the culture that is, and it may
Mhm.
not even be that that you initiate to start. I think once you get a few guys in the room, then it was their decision, because I know we set up the journal workbook and Heart of a Warrior and King Meet. It'd be 14 weeks, which is 3 months or so together. Well, when they decide we cannot keep this pace up, I've got underlines we haven't talked about.
Yeah,
They just changed the culture.
that's right.
Even though you wanted them to,
Mm-hmm.
and we're hopeful, you still had to establish from the beginning, hey, this is why we're getting together. This is what we're after. And this is how we're going to get there. We're going to go through this book.
It's a great leadership tactic that you're really good at, by the way, letting the guys you're leading think it's their idea.
Love it. Rather than that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Every now and then I want credit here and there. I do.
I know it.
But at the same time, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. What do you other guys think about that?
It's great.
And all of a sudden, there's been an amendment to kind of literally the quiet legislation that has somehow been signed up for, and now they're starting to say, we'd like to take more time.
Mm-hmm.
And
We'd
it's
like to go down to third gear a little bit and
Right.
just
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple things in that rhythm that I would say, Josh, of weekly 90 minutes to 120 minutes, an hour and a half to 2. I would, and the communication that and you got to be careful, because you can blow up if there's 18 guys, we have a couple text strings like that, and they're fun sometimes, but they can be, so even what you text on and how you text, but to have a rhythm. If you want them to see something, take a picture of the book. These were a couple of my favorite lines. I mean, you're going to have to garden this.
Yep.
You're going to have to pull some weeds and plant some seeds as the gardener. And I think that's going to be important to the rhythm of things. And SJ, I think lastly, they don't need to know it the first week, but in your mind, if you're coordinating, you probably ought to have a long day together somewhere. You probably ought to go hit a brewery together, go hit an outdoor space.
Yeah.
Ball games are fun, but we're sitting like this.
Yeah, a lot going on.
And you can you can recreate together. That's different than being in another circle, maybe somewhere else. As the harvest moon just came, fall. A fall occasion that you can pull some guys together, and I'll be careful with this one, but the rhythm of once a quarter, once every 6 months, maybe once a year, find a Saturday, which are hard to come by for guys, but maybe in the morning, something other than the time you went, or don't go to church. Just do a Sunday morning.
Canceled.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
canceled now. Thanks.
Do church together. Go do
your own church
Go do
service.
communion together. Go do a Sunday getaway gathering in a space that I'm saying is somewhat sacred and maybe doesn't cost your family or the weekend for different reasons. So I have tons of these possibilities and ideas, but I would just say rhythm it's important that you start on time, you end on time. Really important for the culture.
Yeah. Last one I've got, I think, is we're circling the airport a little bit. And it's related to the path you go on, where we're going.
Yeah.
But in the context of how the structure of your meetings versus leaving space for the leading of the Holy Spirit or, making space for that. What are some practical ways to make room for the shifts and adjustments that we're talking about?
Yeah. So this is great because I wanted to respond, and then this will segue into what you just asked.
Perfect.
So if I may, when you look at the term minister, right? It is ministry. It's a medical term to administer care, administer medicine, whatever it is. And so I think just to bring it back, if your rhythm, if your context is, well, we can only do once a month, cool, go do that. But it's not going to be the men's ministry that you may be thinking,
or that we've been talking about.
We've been talking about.
That's right.
It serves a purpose. It would serve a purpose if your context is to teach a weekly class. We're not saying don't do that, but as we are talking about context, culture, and the heart of what you want to create, I think what we are saying is just adjust your expectations and adjust what you expect the results to be. And so as I think back to what you just said, back to culture and context, and yes, we have content to get through. We have a syllabus, we have chapters, whatever it is that you're going through. If you are titled this podcast to start a men's ministry, well, then that's what you just asked is really a non-negotiable. Right? Or it's not a men's ministry, it's a book study. It's a class. It's a class.
It's a class, yeah.
And so if you're looking at a 90-minute, 2-hour kind of gathering, well, then you've got to prepare more discussion and conversation versus lecturing and you listening to me. And that's going to, back to just your example, and then you can jump. Back to your example of your guys, man. Utilizing, partnering with the book, the resource to drum up something that a guy responds to. I mean, there it is. That's it right there. Him going to a deep place and bringing that out.
Often because you modeled it.
Right. Like that's Holy Spirit, man. Like that's giving room. But again, back to what you want versus what you structure. If you fill up that entire time with content, we're moving through this, then I think you squelch that. You're talking about squelching the Holy Spirit church, old school church guy, right? That right there, bro, you squelch it.
Yeah.
You squelch it. And so, margin. Back to that rhythm. I'll sum all that and say rhythm, you've got to have margin for that.
And that's
margin for freedom.
Let it breathe.
Yeah, I heard, more monologue than dialogue.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with the facilitator sharing some of what, but if he's dominating that conversation, guys are going to learn, okay, this is so SJ can talk, or, the hiders will hide, the talkers will interrupt, and you're going to have both of them in the circle. I think the other thing that with rhythm that I want you guys to talk about that I think is critical is where are you meeting? And we know guys that have met at Bob Evans for years,
Back
Cracker
room of
Barrel,
Bob Evans. Yeah,
Cracker
man.
Barrel for years,
Mhm.
and they're going to have a certain depth that is either anticipated or a ceiling to that kind of depth.
Yeah.
And those guys that I've been to those are typically a class, and the environment affords that.
Right.
And they all kind of put their Bibles on the table, next to the pancakes, and they're looking for education. That's what a class is great for. It is education, instruction. I didn't know that Greek word. I didn't know that's what that meant in first century. So I think that is the environment that you're inviting them to. If you're doing evenings and you're doing outside, I mean, this is just little petty stuff, but the lighting's probably not going to be that great.
Right.
And I've sat there with phones with lights on, and we made it work on our books. So and you got rain, and you got to have is there a porch they can get into? Our guy's going to sip on something? Are they going to do holy smokes for the cigar guys? I mean, all of that stuff is culture.
Sure.
and can be either inhibiting or really helpful to the
Right.
to the rhythm of the environment that you're trying to create. So all of that stuff matters.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think for the environment, let me ask you this: what's ideal in your experience? What would be the ideal environment for what we're trying to kind of put some ingredients? What's the ideal kitchen for all these ingredients?
I think it has more to do with the pilot than the plane. But I'm not. but I'm not disagreeing with you. I understand what you're saying. And to some degree, but what I mean by that is a good pilot will set the environment, and it really is up to the pilots.
Yeah.
What direction we go.
Well, there are first class planes.
Uh-huh.
And
there's
we've got yeah. So the plane, with what's the guy in Never Cry Wolf who's flying him?
Brian Dennehy.
Yeah.
The little guy there that's in it too.
So I don't disagree how the pilot goes, how the pilot flies, but I do
and what he decides, what kind of plane he invites the guy into.
There you go.
That's what I mean.
And so I think it doesn't even have to be your living room, your office.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen guys do it after hours in their office, in their boardroom.
And it's a group that meets in here.
It's a great room because
Mhm.
there's a screen. Are you going to show videos? Do you want to show videos? All of that stuff. So I think the environment is, I think there is some ideal environments, and
Mhm.
church could be that. If you want to connect with the church guys, I think that's really helpful to that environment, that there's somewhere that's familiar.
Some of your church spaces are pretty sweet.
They
Yeah.
are.
Absolutely,
What we're saying
man.
is maybe not, if you can only get the kids' church room, maybe consider our
Right.
meeting in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that communicates something as
Right.
well. I mean, it just does.
Right.
It does.
Yeah. I think
Environments communicate.
would you say, I think ideally is, now, if you have 140 guys, you're done. I mean, there's not a guy's basement or living room
No.
or
Right. So like
their
our friends
back
in
porch.
Southbrook, they do. I mean, that's a great
Yeah,
example
on
of a
Wednesdays,
partnership.
morning and evening, it's 400 guys.
Yes.
Round tables.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
But in addition to that, there are guys that have connected and are doing things more intimately
Yeah.
outside of that.
Absolutely, they
So it's
are.
both and.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on the number of guys, you're gonna have to get creative. But
Yeah.
even in that, they do a really good job of making it feel like a masculine, friendly environment,
So-
even in a large group setting.
So in the last couple of minutes we have, guys, because I think this is really important, and I use the idea of a pilot intentionally, not leading alone,
Yeah.
right? Having a co-pilot, just the importance of that. Like, for what reason do we need a co-pilot on this journey? Do you think?
I mean, why do we need friends in life? You know,
Right.
I mean, I've talked about this a ton. For me, I love sharing things that I love with my friends, and I love experiencing the things my friends love with them. And so as you think about, I mean, we spent 3 episodes talking about how hard this is.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that alone?
By yourself.
Yeah,
Why
and if
would wanna
if
do
you
that?
get taken out or pass out, you need someone to take the controls, right?
I mean, yeah, we can get to that side of it too,
Yeah,
and 100%. There's
Yeah.
a lot of security blanket reasons in there too, no
Mhm.
doubt.
Yeah.
But just for the adventure and the mission and the journey, like, yeah, those things are always more fun to do it with someone that you love and that loves you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the first real daring thing. After you've put some thought to these other things we've talked about,
Yeah.
to invite one other guy to, hey, would you do this with me so we could do this for other guys?
Mm-hmm.
That would be that's the wording. Would you do this with me so we could do this for other guys? And I would love if guys wouldn't, necessarily rush the field into these different starting dates. But if a guy invited 1 or 2 guys to be those guys, and they started in their little trinity
Yeah.
with, let's do this so that we can then do this.
Right.
Let's do this so that we can then do this. So now you're kind of tied up for the next, 3 or 4 months with those guys. And that can happen in a lot of places. Rotate the houses, find the barn, find the place that would be great to do that. But that too, I think is still pretty fragile, volatile. I think the practical places that you're talking about to just share that load of 20 other guys or 30 or 40 other guys or 12 or 13. So there's a number, and having the harmony of the 3 or the 2 and trying to do that while fighting for the hearts of these other guys, I think that's really hard to do. I mean, I think that's a very tall order. So I would rather invite and encourage our friends to take the first 3 or 4 months with what who you want to travel, journey, and run with, and
It's a great idea.
who you want
if
to
you
entrust with some of your heart and story and stuff. And honestly, I think last thing I want you to respond to, you talk about that. Secondly, the first few weeks of rhythm and of gathering, when you actually have the other men, not your couple teammates, but the other men, if you can break them up, let's say it's more than a dozen. A dozen's enough. That's 2 hours worth of content every week. If the guy just shares what he found, what found him, what he highlighted and underlined, and why, and as a means to be known and get to know him. So once you get past about a dozen, you have to create some dynamic where guys aren't stepping on each other's toes, or some guys not getting to share. So you've got to either find that smaller squadron of 4 or 5, maybe 6, and now you just separated some of the brotherhood for the greater good of connecting and being known within. So you've got to start to work with a dynamic of, okay, all 12, all 14, all 16 of them are us, but 16's too big, or we don't have a round table that big. So how do we facilitate, one of 6, and I think that's what our friends at larger initiatives have been so impactful and successful at, is creating the table for those 6. So if 1 or 2 guys aren't there, you still got 4. But I know that's getting way into the weeds of particularly a guy who might have the privilege of having the keys cut for the men's ministry, and having that kind of turnout. If you have the numbers, then it can't be just one night. And if you're excluding excluding
like
certain
the
guys.
Southbrook guys, morning and
There's
evening.
a morning
I
and
mean,
evening,
yeah.
and they identify with it. They identify with their cultures.
There's a
there's a
kind
little
of
ongoing banter,
a little
between
rivalry.
the
Yeah.
morning guys and the evening guys.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think that's a beautiful part of their culture is, they know that, man, some guys when 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, they cannot give up another night, but they can give up a morning. So they're there at 6, to do that. So that's just a different beast of things
sure.
that we have the privilege of knowing a guy who leads and loves that with Frank Crockett and that men's ministry well. But all of that is still the practical pieces that become the ingredients for how you're going to do why and what you're going to do.
Yeah, man. It really prompts me to think too about one of the things as you're embarking in this journey and stepping out and starting groups. I learned over the years, we all have, just keeping your eyes open for battlefield commissions, like a guy that, man, and I'll just shout out to my buddy Jevin. We had some changes in our group, and he's really stepped into that role of facilitating the group. He wouldn't call himself the leader. He'd call himself a facilitator, because he just asks the questions and prays and things like that. But he was a battlefield commission. It was like, man, you listen really well. You're engaged in this. You come to several events now. You're understanding what we're talking about. What would you think about facilitating the group? And he was like, I don't know if I can do that, So,
Yeah.
So anyway, my point in that is in not just affirming Jevin, but also keeping your head and just your eyes open, head on a swivel, eyes open for those guys that maybe you can invite up into a co-pilot role as you move, because hopefully you're going to need them.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I was just going to say some of the same is another reason to bring guys on the journey with you, so that if it gets to a place, and again, depending on your context, and if it gets to a place where you do need to break up into smaller groups, you've got people who have been trained walking this out with you that you can trust, and I'll step into those circles as well.
Yeah.
Which is what you just said. So,
yeah. What's our call to action this week, bud?
Yeah. So this camera right here.
Yeah.
All right, just bring it in real tight shot here. December the 10th, join Michael, myself, SJ, for our Zoom call, where we're going to be talking about more of this. And if this has interested you and you're looking for help, you're looking for encouragement to go further, to start something, that's what that call is going to be about. I want to try to bring as much encouragement and equipment to you as we get ready for 2026. So that's December the 10th at 8 o'clock. Just go to zoe.org/allies to find out more information and sign up for that. I think that's...
Well, okay. So if, as they're listening to this podcast, if they've got questions, or maybe we've got guys that are already leading groups.
Sure, right.
And maybe have a question, and maybe even have like a situation going on they need some consult or advice on, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So yeah, would love for you to reach out, josh@zoe.org or allies@zoe.org. And if you hop over to zoe.org/allies, our website, there's so much there for you that we've created, including the Frontlines Network, which is a network for you to be found, for men who are looking for groups and ministries, and also for you to connect with more allies. So we talk about brotherhood, not doing this alone. So we have the Frontlines Network. We have Basecamp, which is Zoe's online database of resources that we've created for you. So we've taken content from King Me, from the Heart of a Warrior, and from our events, and curated it to be a 6, 7, 8 week journey that you can use in your groups, in your ministry. All that's free. All you have to do is go to zoe.org/allies and apply, and then we'll get you access to all of that.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have one more episode to go, and just to tee that up, I think we want to just let you know we're going to talk more about some of the challenges, some of the things to be careful as we get further and further into the real weeds of it. We mentioned a little bit about the men that are coming, and yeah, some of them that are crawling, literally going to crawl in, and the challenge, the opportunity, responsibility for to care for, to love and lead some men. We're going to talk some more about those pieces, which I think supports very much that to have a place where you can kind of meet with other facilitators and guides and be known there. So, and when you deploy into the environments that you can on and around your home front, I think we can share from 60 years pulled collectively together, 60 some years of what we've learned and what might be wisdom and encouragement for you as you do this really important thing, create a space for men to come together and as they explore the kingdom together, discover kingdom friendships. So we'll
Amen to that.
We'll keep going. So thanks for being with us on the Exploring More podcast. We'll see you next time.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoe.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoe on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.